So I'm going to be completely honest with everyone, I haven't played or really cared about the 2K ratings in maybe 5 years. But even with my age and maturity, I still can't resist being pulled into this conversation every year when the ratings are revealed. Because as much as I'd like to never think about Ronnie 2K ever again, it's impossible to avoid the discourse that is started around this time every year. And while I truly don't care that much about these virtual ratings, I respect it, because 2K is a business at the end of the day, and part of building hype for the release of each game is stirring up a frenzy on Twitter. They basically get some free marketing every year by ranking a popular player a little or a lot lower than fans were expecting. And now I don't think many people outside of Cavs Twitter are very up in arms over this, but Darius Garland has been rated disrespectfully low this year. And I get it, look, he struggled throughout the entirety of last season and he scored just 11 points in his elimination game against Boston, which left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. But ranking Garland as the 75th best player in the NBA is absolutely insane to me, it's just nuts. Listen, I'm not going to list my top 75 players or anything like that, but you cannot convince me that 74 players belong ahead of Darius Garland. Even just a few spots ahead of him on this list, Jalen Suggs and Alex Caruso, I mean, give me a break. Even in the playoffs where Garland did struggle heavily against Boston, he still finished averaging more points and assists, turning the ball over less, and shooting better from every spot on the floor than Jalen Suggs. So I don't understand how you can rank him ahead of him, and you're probably thinking, wow, this is a lot of frustration over Darius Garland being ranked 3 spots too low. But it's not just Suggs who has been ranked ahead of Garland. Every day as they release more of this list, I'm going to be more and more annoyed all over again, because yes, Darius Garland had a down year, and it's not 2K's job to give him the benefit of the doubt and just assume he's going to bounce back like many Cavs fans are hoping for, but still, this was an egregiously low rating for Garland, and while I promise I'm not actually going to lose sleep over this, I just thought it would give me a nice opportunity to rant about Garland and put some of last season into a proper perspective now that we've had a few months to process everything. And in all honesty, I feel pretty good about Garland. And look, it was a bad season, start to finish, but he did have some special moments scattered throughout. Even in the playoffs, he gave Cleveland a big jolt of 17 points in the first quarter of Game 5 after the Cavs were smacked by 81 points combined in the last 2 games, so that flurry of scoring gave the Cavs enough juice to get back on track in that series and ultimately win that game by just 1 point. Then against Boston, again, Garland struggled throughout, but he was big in Game 4, scoring 30 points and dishing 7 assists without Donovan Mitchell. And while it wasn't enough, it was a sign of life from Garland, who really just had one hell of a time establishing a rhythm last season. We saw these moments where he was completely in control, like his 27 points and 11 assists against New Orleans that looked effortless for him. But then we saw him fall back into shooting slumps and struggle to find his place in this offense. Really, the Cavs top to bottom were a mess for most of last season, and honestly, it was Donovan Mitchell's MVP caliber performances that covered up what was going on around the team. Everything from injuries to the players losing faith in the coaching staff led to the Cavs looking wildly inconsistent from game to game. But even with all of that, they still managed to complete the largest Game 7 comeback in NBA history, which was complemented by a huge momentum 3-pointer from Garland, and then the Cavs fought hard against the eventual champions in round 2, even with more injuries piling up. So tying this all together, I get it, Darius has much to prove next season and he gave 2K every reason to rank him this low, but I would be stunned if Garland didn't immediately approve his rating and jump as high as the 90s in his bounce back season. This is a guy who I still firmly believe is capable of being a top 5 or 10 point guard in the NBA. Garland is one of the most efficient and lethal floor generals in the game, and when you put all of the injuries and shooting slumps from last year behind him, then Garland should be cleared for takeoff in the upcoming season. But that's going to do it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Darius Garland's rating and if you're with me that he's going to bounce back and have a much better year. If you enjoy this content and you want to support the channel, then all you have to do is hit subscribe and drop a like. Those two things help the channel out a ton and I really do appreciate it. With all that being said, go Cavs.